surrounded by sycophants and fucking imbeciles.
It's just that you make a lot of really great points, sir.
This about loyalty.
So don't you worry, Billy, my boy. Daddy's home.
Just giving a shit just gets you killed. True.
But you're still standing here.
You heard it up top. We're taking the A train because we're heading deep. We're going home, Lander. We're talking The Boys, Season 4 here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Colin's Milk.
I don't agree with his views, but it's Tech Mike.
And this is, I do agree with his views. This is the Jake Lander.
Oh, no.
The Jake Lander.
And you can do whatever the fuck you want.
That's right. Don't make me laser you.
I'll laser every single one of you. I rewatched that clip today, and I'm like, wow, this show has been going crazy the last couple seasons. I know we're fans of it. Now we're in Season 4. We're in episode 303, giving you the 411 on Season 4 of The Boys.
Wow.
But yeah. I'm wearing a butcher-style coat with the collar turned up, but it's very hot in Southern California as we record. Yes. So viewers, if there's a sweat happening, it has nothing to do with a weird worm wriggling around in Butcher's brain. It is just the weather.
Your accent will just get crazier and crazier the hotter you get before you black out. Oi!
Henry Dean Morgan is just going to show up, you know, out of nowhere. But we're going to do full spoilers on Season 4 up to this point. We're on episode 6 now, we just got, correct?
That's right, first 6 episodes.
Yeah. Again, we're kind of doing these mid-seasons, and probably to watch it, we'll give you our final thoughts on things like The Acolyte. And
well, the boys are short, Mike. They only do 8. We're pretty much done. We're kind of talking not necessarily the penultimate, but really kind of wrapping up Season 4 almost. Although I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about it. I'll watch it much later.
Well, it really has been TV season lately, because like we had The Acolyte last week, which I do want to ask Colin's thoughts maybe in the wrap up. If you have any thoughts about The Acolyte, which we talked about last week. We also have House of the Dragon, Hot D. We have The Bear new season. So trying to cover all these shows that we enjoy. And this week it's The Boys.
Indeed, it is The Boys. And I wanted to ask, do you guys watch recaps or anything? I figured maybe up top, like where. I didn't watch a recap going into it. And then I had to after the first episode, I was like, oh yeah, where kind of was everything left off? I know they did the fight at Vought Tower, but I'm like, did Soldier Boy die? That kind of stuff. So I was kind of had to give myself a primer. How much of Season 3 kind of did you remember going in, or did you rewatch?
I didn't watch any recaps or anything. I kind of just remembered it. I will do that for some shows like House of the Dragon, where I actually just rewatch the whole first season to try to understand things. This show, I kind of felt like I had an understanding of where things left off. And we also had Gen V, and I kind of reacquainted myself with the Boys world when we were watching that. So I felt pretty good about it. Yeah.
Fair. Colin, how about you?
But The Boys, I would agree, Jacob, not the most challenging material I watch. That's not necessarily a negative to it, but I don't feel like I need a recap. I was shocked that it has been 2 years exactly since a mainstream season and 6 months since Gen V. Of course, we did episodes on both of those. I was shocked that we've not done 4 episodes on The Boys, though.
Yeah, I looked back. We only done 1, and that was dedicated to The Boys, and that was on Season 2. We kind of just got into watch
so
it.
We never even talked about Season 3, I guess.
I don't think so.
Except for just a watch it, and we didn't do a dedicated Season 3. So.
Do we like this show? Is this one of our big shows? I don't know. I guess it is, right?
It's not the biggest show for me, but I do watch it on a weekly basis. So whenever there's a new season, so I'm not waiting to catch up at a later date or something. So, but it's compared to something like Hot D, House of the Dragon. It's less.
Some people have called this a Cobra Kai podcast, Jacob. Cobra Kai maybe going faster than the
Star
Boys.
Trek Strange New Worlds podcast. Whenever that's on.
Yep. Comparatively, I mean, different content, but yeah, it's right up there with Cobra Kai, and I say general quality, but I think we agree that Cobra Kai and The Boys are kind of getting a little long in the tooth, and it's like we like The Boys, but it's at a point where it needs to kind of wrap up, and I know Season 5 will be the end, so this is kind of
I don't know about that, because lately Eric Kripke, the creator of the show, has said that he's kind of walking back the Season 5 thing and saying, I think it could actually go longer. So, that's something that shows sometimes run into, where they want to keep going when past the logical endpoint.
No, we must
yeah.
not. Let's Seinfeld end on a high note, let's say. But we'll see
Right.
where we're at on season 4, these first 6 episodes. But I was very in on season 3. I had forgotten that Soldier Boy was recaptured and that Maeve lost her powers, like that stuff, and that's why she's not around. She just kind of went into hiding or whatever. But yeah, Homelander lasered a guy at the end of season 3, and then that's kind of everyone cheered for him. We obviously know what that was about, but so we're setting up
Right.
Homelander doing a power play, I guess. But that's where we left off season 3. I guess I shouldn't dive too much into it. But anything else we want to hit up top before we get into season 4?
I'll just mention, last week I was showing off my Star Wars pops for the Acolyte. I'm not trying to highlight Funko Pops that I have that might relate to the current thing we're talking about. And I don't have any The Boys pops, but I do have some superhero characters here. I got Batman Beyond. I've got Reverse Flash, Zoom, 2 speedster villains from the
Right,
era,
A-Train
from the
analogs.
Flash. Yeah, and so I got A-Train. This guy, I mean, Zoom, he kind of looks like Black Noir, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And then most importantly, I've got Judge Dredd, Carl Urban himself.
Boy.
Hey, Butcher.
boy.
Boy, I'm not taking
Boy,
this
I'm a
off the
judge,
whole
yeah.
movie. I've not seen that movie. Is it good?
Dredd, I really like Dredd. It's very cyberpunky, very stylish.
Also
It
based
features
on
an
a comic
awesome
book.
scene where he says, Daddy's home, and then he comes in and picks a guy who's hopped up on V.
That's
Nice,
right.
yeah, you love to see it. Well, I think that would be up my alley with the cyberpunk and again comic adaptation. I've seen the Stallone one, but not.
It's better
Carl
than the
Urban.
Stallone one to me. I mean, it's
What?
very isolated.
Wow.
People say it's sort of copies The Raid, where it all takes place in like a building, and he's got to work his way through a mega building and escape, basically. But it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice. All
Good
right,
action.
well, yeah. It seems like some insurmountable odds, which is exactly what the boys are up against in season 4 as we try once again to take down Homelander.
That's right.
Let's talk season 4 right after this.
We're back. You're on Normies Like Us. Like we said, we are at Vought Tower, hanging out with the 7, or the 3 of us, right?
The 3,
Yes.
the
The three that didn't get
triumvirate.
invited to the party, I guess. It's like,
I'm like the
Do you-
lamplighter of our group. The guy who you're just like, what? How did that guy join the podcast?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm the firecracker. I can just make sparks with my fingers. Pretty cool power.
I'm drinking orange juice for some vitamin V, but I should have bought milk for the episode. It just
right.
dawned on me, the
Mother's
dawn
milk.
of the 7, you know?
It makes me not like milk. As a guy who did drink a lot of milk growing up, it makes me very much regret that choice.
I'll tell
Yeah.
you, my experience with milk is that my mom was like
Milk
big
takes.
into making her kids drink milk because she thought it was healthy, basically. So I would drink milk with every dinner, basically, when I was a kid growing up, which basically gave me an aversion to milk. So I never drink milk now as an adult because I just don't like it because I was sort of forced to drink so much of it. As a kid.
Aversion or fetish? Are you homelandering us right
That's
now?
the two sides of the
No, I have an
spectrum.
opposite. Yeah, I have the opposite of a fetish. But vitamin D, good for your bones, right?
Yeah,
Vitamin D,
calcium.
Vitamin V.
Yeah, I
Mother's
drank a lot of
milk.
milk in high school. I thought it would make me taller. I ended up tall-ish, but I don't think it was milk related. But I don't drink milk regularly as an adult anymore. No.
No.
Not home landing with me. But season 4, 6 episodes so far. How are we feeling generally? I mean,
Hell yeah.
I like it. I mean, people saying it kind of falling off a little bit. I think 5 should be the ending, season 5. But I'm still pretty on board. I'm liking what I'm seeing generally. But how about you?
For me, yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it, but I also do feel like it's starting to tread water a little bit of, how long can they draw this out? They're introducing some new elements like they always introduce new elements every season, but it just feels like, and we can talk about like the political satire and stuff, but maybe it's kind of getting more unsubtle and less sort of subtle, I guess.
More blunt.
But I still enjoy it. Yeah.
And which has been kind of
Yeah.
frustrating some fans that didn't realize that they were kind of being made fun of this whole time. Which
Well,
has
that's
been a
the funny
conversation.
thing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that all the right-wing people are realizing after now in the 4th season, they're making fun of us this whole time.
This show is woke. Like they can't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it woke? Is it woke? I mean,
Is
is
it
it
woke?
woke to be like Nazis are bad?
Yeah.
Right.
I
Oh
guess
my
it's
gosh.
woke.
I guess my criticism of the political jokes and stuff this season is it feels like more and more they're just referencing something that like a real politician said, but not even doing like a spin on it. Just like in the most recent episode, like the Jewish space lasers thing that that crazy lady said in real life. And it's like you're just repeating that. Like you're not even saying like superhero space lasers or something, or like critical soup theory was one from earlier this season. It's just
True.
like it feels a bit lazy, like they're just cribbing stuff from real life and changing it slightly, but it's fun.
Or real life is as dystopian as the show was. Real life is caught up to where the show was. It's like, it is very on the nose, especially with like we have a trial of Homelander in episode 1. It's like very of the time.
Yeah.
More than the other seasons. It is more direct. You're right, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, Homelander's been sort of slowly becoming a Trump analog over the seasons. Like if you go back to season 1, it wasn't at like it was still political, but it wasn't as like current eventsy where it's like, basically just taking stuff from real life. It was more about the superhero weird world where superheroes are bad and stuff, and now it's just become more and more politically relevant, I guess. But you could say,
Yeah,
I find the writing just a little bit lazy, I guess.
Well, okay. So you're saying lazy, even though it seems like it's like an exact mirror to society. So yes, I would agree with that. Where it is like you're not putting a spin on it, but like what you're saying about the evolution of this, like Jacob, like clearly what this show existed as initially was, what if we do a pastiche of superhero stuff? We make fun of the DC Dark Universe. We make fun of the Marvel entertainment machine, and that's The Boys. And you're like, okay, and that is a good first season. And then it like, we loved that Stormfront political episode with Fat Neil from Community. Like, I think we agreed that's like one of the best episodes ever. Like you see an actual radicalization of a person. And then like what that's evolved to now, where like you guys said, the Trump analogy of Homelander, where literally it's a guy is on trial and we like have to get him out of power. Like it's like, but he seems unstoppable. Like it is a 1-for-1, like you're saying, that is lazy. But is that an issue of this story? Like in my mind, they have no control over timing out how weird this trial with Donald Trump is, or the idea that like it would still be going on. Like to me, they're holding the mirror up in a good way in that it is so self-referential of all the weird stuff going on. Again, I'm not positive this show should be the outlet for society, but it seems to be one of the few shows that is.
Yeah. And I guess over the course of the show, it's been about the slow power creep of Homelander of like, what does he want? Does he want to take over the world? I mean, he can do basically whatever he wants, being the most powerful person in the world.
I could shoot him and they'd still vote for me.
Yeah.
And that was
they're doing this whole
season.
Yeah. But as we revealed in the most recent episode, their plan now is to do this coup, basically using like official government methods, like the 25th Amendment, to basically take over the government, which is, I think, sort of a critique of how even the strongest person in the world can't rule the world by himself. Like he needs like politicians and stuff to do all that stuff. But all
the like we keep saying, there's an election is at the center of this. There's a lot of parallel characters. An AOC character, we kind of talked about this off pod, Jacob, with Victoria Newman being basically once again a 1-to-1 parallel. But I'll point out, if you go to the thumbnail on Amazon Prime right now and you click The Boys season 4, the ad campaign and the marketing is Homelander and the Boys fighting at a political rally, where there is a guy with a January 6th shaman, head style, rioter mask.
Yeah.
Like it is, once again, the parallel is 1-to-1 when you talk about the 25th Amendment and stuff. Like what they're commenting on is fascism and January 6th and like throwing over the government, which did try to occur.
And of course, that's always been the case with the show, but it definitely escalated last season with Homelander killing a guy in public, and now he's got to answer for that. And of course, he gets away with it. But I just compare like that Fat Neil stuff that was so well done to now we have like Firecracker, who's like an Alex Jones type character who's got this like show where she's spouting all these far right conspiracy stuff. Yeah, it's just some of it feels a little too on the nose, where it's like, yeah, this stuff is happening in real life. We get that, but it's like I don't know. I still
Maybe
enjoy it.
yeah, maybe it has. I get that it's very on the nose, and maybe like they've realized that like media literacy is dead, and like we have to be on
Yeah.
the nose, or no one's gonna get it. You
Well,
know?
that's the thing is every time I think satire is too unsubtle, I'm always proved wrong by people not understanding that it's satire. So I'm like, well, I guess there
Yes.
is no satire that's too unsubtle because there's a lot. Some people are just, dumb. But
No,
Yeah,
and
again, to me, it's not. I'm not bugged by anything being on the nose. It's just truly this choice of like, this is the outlet that needs to be like, I will be the show that brings down Donald Trump. Is like the boys will be. What do you mean by
yeah,
that?
Billy
I
Butcher
don't think it's
himself.
going to bring down Donald Trump. It's more of it's almost like what the Daily Show was in the 2000s, where it's an outlet for left wing or liberal
Left
people to
rage,
watch and be like, yeah, it does suck that real life is happening, and
but
this
we're
is sort of
doing something.
yeah. But it's
We're saying
commenting on it in a
something.
comedic way. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I'm again, and we're not media literacy aside. Like, I'm not claiming to be the smartest person in the world. I'm no sage to
I
shout out
am.
another one of the new characters.
That's right.
But we have the smartest person in the world. That's her superpower, joining the Seven, and she's kind of helping construct this plot behind the scenes to generate sympathy for Homelander and his cause, and eventually do the takeover. And I like that the
Yeah,
show is showing how like we are specifically manipulated to like fit into agendas in certain pockets of like the voting bracket. And like I think it's
Yeah,
cool that the show is saying, have you ever thought that you don't think for yourself, you know? Like, and there's a
right.
reason for that. So I like that side of the show, at least in the writing
I
sense.
like yeah, I like the Sage character. It's interesting. I do want to know more about like what are her motivations for working with Homelander. I guess she just decided like anarchy is like the way, so she just wants to cause as much chaos as possible in the world. But it seems like, and I was telling Colin this the other day, when you're writing the smartest person in the world as a character, there's always the flaw that you can only write them as smart as the writers are. So
Mm-hmm.
they never come across to me as the actual smartest person in the world. But that's a minor nitpick, I think.
Fair. It's hard to write someone smarter than you are. That's
Yeah, it's
absolutely
hard to write a
true.
really smart character if you're just
somebody who
normally
makes
smart.
like perfect choices, which a lot of Sage's choices this season constantly like, what are you doing? Slash, did you
Yeah,
think this would end up well or
and like
good?
she can get tricked by the boys, which is like if you're the smartest person in the world, you would have like a contingency for every thing that could go wrong in your plan and stuff, like Batman or something like that. Where I'm not saying Batman is the smartest person in the world in his universe, but he always has contingencies for things. So I
Yeah.
just think the actual smartest person in the world would have like a million different ways the plan could vary, variations of the plan at any one moment.
You would have thought of everything. It's like I think in D&D they say that's what red dragons do. They just chill out and think of every way that someone might try to take their gold and just are always like thinking of
Right.
contingencies. It's kind of like
Greedy
Sure.
motherfuckers.
yeah,
Yeah.
no one's
It
going to
just seems
get
like
in
some
here.
of Sage's plans are just not as smart as we're told that they are or something. Basically, her plan is to do a coup working with the far right in America. And then we have
Mhm.
like the Victoria Newman character, like the AOC uh, analog in this world, who's a left wing vice president for like a Democrat, but is working with the far right secretly. And also she can make people's heads explode.
Yeah, we found
Okay,
out she
sure.
does that. She got the virus that we know from Gen V was made to kill soups. She exploded the only guy who knew how to make it, and then so she has
That's
kind of
right.
that going on in the background. We don't know what she plans to do with it, but she has possession of it, and we learn about that this season. Um, and yeah, then we have on the boys' side, Frenchie's kind of dealing with some stress, some PTSD this season. Kimiko's working on her speech.
Yeah.
Starlight, her powers, or she's having like a Spider-Man 2 kind of moment. Um,
Huey's going through a lot of shit.
yeah, so
Every
there's a
member
lot
of the
of
boys is really having their own personal troubles this season, it seems
They
like.
are,
yeah,
which again, not to criticize the writing of the season, to mirror again what Jacob's kind of saying about writing for the smartest people in the world. I'm going to criticize a bit the writing where characters should be, like you're choosing where these characters should be. We're in season 4 here. Still, all these characters are having issues where Starlight's like, I've got my Starlight house going on. I need to focus on that. And it's kind of not working. I'm grumpy. I'll go hang out with the boys. Butcher. I got my own things going on. I'm grumpy. I'll go hang out with the boys. Where once again, no one wants to actively be with each other or be the boys on a show called The Boys, where by season 4, they should just be being the boys 100% of the time, killing superheroes or like,
Right.
like doing what they set out to
Yeah.
do.
They're all
Uh,
wrestling with their own inner demons
Yes,
right now.
which they can have. I'm not saying
Yeah.
have no character development, but these things of like, I'm Frenchie and I'm arrested and I'm away from the boys, or I'm Huey and all of my drama this season takes me away from my core group, the boys.
Right.
That's not helpful or good writing, I would argue.
Well, to go off that, I would say my favorite character arc this season has been Mother's Milk, because his whole thing is he's just so stressed out from trying to keep everyone together and everyone's going off doing their own thing. And he's like, I'm the fucking leader, and I'm just like basically having panic attacks because I'm so fucking stressed. And I can really relate to that. So I mean, I'm not a leader of a team that kills superheroes or anything.
You're our
Not
leader.
officially. Not officially.
I can understand having too much stress and it ruining your life. Yeah.
I mean, just trying to balance interpersonal relationships generally can be stressful. Like if your friends are fighting or arguing, whatever, it's like, so imagine we're trying to save the world and nobody's focused. Like we do get a lot of good stuff with Mother's Milk, and then with his ex-wife and his daughter and her new boyfriend in this season. Like he's dealing with a lot of stuff too. So
yeah.
I like
he's just trying
his
these
stuff a lot.
anxiety apps to like try to relax, and it's just not working.
Yeah,
he's just
and
like,
we know he's like OCD and stuff, and he's like really trying hard. But I like subtle stuff like in the set designing. They're in that shitty warehouse or whatever, but like his corner of it is so organized with little plastic crates and like So I get why he'd be so stressed out. So I am.
But he
enjoying
is like,
Milk arc.
Yeah, and he's the leader of a team where every member of the team is like basically just going off doing their own shit whenever they want. You have Butcher, who you can't trust like as far as you can throw him, and then you have like Kimiko and Frenchie who are doing their own things and having their own side plot, and it's like, can everyone just focus on the mission?
So many drugs this season too. It's like absolutely out of this world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man. But so that is a lot of what it is. It is, I guess, feels like, again, long in the tooth. It can be like, this is like the filler arc. Like we're getting all the character individual episodes before we get back to like, all right, let's get Homelander, right? Because we don't really, we find a method, like we're trying to track down where the virus is, because we're like, maybe we can get that strong enough to kill Homelander, but that's like not really at the forefront always. Like I understand.
No, and I'll also say I get a little bit of the prequel disease or sidequel or spin-off quel or whatever disease where like, even if this thing ends next fucking season, let's see they release this virus, it kills everybody with superpowers. They're not fucking doing that. Gen V season 2 is coming out. Gen V season 3 is coming out. Like, that's not fucking happening.
Right, yeah.
What is interesting, like Butcher has this moral dilemma where it's like, you can make the virus as strong enough to kill Homelander, but if you do that, it'll literally kill every soup in the world. And like I said, obviously they're not going to do that because then the show would not, it would be over. But they do have to kill Homelander at some point. Like that's the logical end point of the show. But
I guess now even that feels in jeopardy to me.
Yeah,
right. I mean, maybe it's just a dystopian ending where he takes over and that's the end, is that he's running the world.
He defeats he does it. Because we do get Butcher's plot is, he took too much V, and now he's got like a limited time, so he's trying to really push it, and so he starts meeting up with like what he thinks is an old colleague of his. He's seeing visions of his deceased wife, and then that twist actually worked for me, but he has a devil on his shoulder and an angel on his shoulder, essentially, and they're
very true. I will say, I did guess the Jeffrey Dean Morgan twist like several episodes ago, just because I noticed like, every time he talks to Jeffrey Dean Morgan, that character never interacts with any other character but Butcher. So I thought that was odd. And Butcher's also seeing hallucinations of his dead wife. So it's like, I wonder what that could mean. So that
it's
reveal,
pretty good writing of, have we ever had a hallucination talk to another hallucination and that's why the person realizes? I thought that was pretty interesting, even if I didn't like the whole overall. Yeah.
I liked it. I guess I just guessed the twist earlier, but that doesn't diminish that it's good. Yeah.
I didn't guess it because I'm a dummy, but I was very pleased to know that wasn't like a real person. Like I like the way it was revealed, like Colin said when he's reacting to his wife. But I was like, man, if it's just some random dude and we get Henry Dean Morgan just to be a random dude to get Butcher to be bad, I'm like, that's
waste,
lazy. But the
yeah.
fact that it's a hallucination, I actually, it worked for me even if I was predicting
Right.
it. You
A supernatural supporting character in The Boys? Who would have thought?
Right. Also, another comic universe, Walking Dead, maybe went on too long. Learn from
Yeah.
history, people.
Also, I guess this is a character from the comics. And just a real quick sidebar note, since we've only done 2 of these episodes, but I think we have pointed this out.
Mhm.
I do not like the comics. The comics are gross and dumb. We've kind of said this before. I think
The
you
show
guys
is
have
very
said
different. Yeah.
you think they're dumb, blah blah blah. The criticism that I have seen of this season is it's feeling more and more like the comics, which of course are written mostly for shock value, which maybe this season's leaning a little more into.
Yeah, especially kind of the last episode, Dirty Business, with
I think
there's
Boy,
it pushes the
business, isn't
line.
it? A little bit
I
of
think it's
dirty
all the show's
business in it,
always
Gov.
had that shock value element to it, because I think basically Eric Kripke was like, I'm going to take this source material that's all about shock value and keep the shock value, but also add all this political commentary that's maybe not as much in the comics. But they've always had weird like sex stuff and obviously very graphic violence and stuff. But yeah, this last episode was pretty intense.
And that's where we learn that kind of their plot, really. I mean, we could talk about the tech cave if we want, but I mean, we learn the plot is they're trying to smooth all the right-wing elites, right?
Yeah. They're doing a coup behind the scenes, and so they have all these rich, powerful people who
The
it's
1% of the 1%, real quick, I just want to point out they say the real companies that own this place. I think they say like McDonald's, Apple. They do not say Amazon, of course, the largest company in
Jeff
the world,
Bezos,
which this
he's good,
show
though.
appears
He's the
on.
one
Yes.
good rich person.
Quite interesting to be so hypocritical of these mega corporations and talk about Vought owning everything, but never to say the words Amazon.
No.
Well, again, that's kind of the meta
Bot farms,
commentary
Whole
of it. It's like, how radical can you be as art or as a show when you're ultimately you exist as a capitalist media enterprise that's working underneath Amazon. Like, the boys would not exist if Amazon did not pay for it, right? So there's always that going on as well.
It's the episode of Black Mirror with Daniel Kaluuya when he's riding on that bike.
Right.
It's
Still got that knife to my throat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, you become the product.
Right.
But yeah, they're getting all the elites, so they try to sneak into this party to try to bug it and try to get some damning, I guess, evidence or whatever. But we have to sneak in with Webweaver, who's a Spider-Man parody, so they kind of end up drugging him and getting his costume. Yeah.
Again, in that you guys weren't super familiar with the comics, did you know that there were parodies of Tech Knight, Iron Man / Batman, and then Webweaver's Spider-Man? Were any of you guys familiar with these characters at all before this?
I didn't learn about Tech Knight until Gen V, and I didn't know about Webweaver until this, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Webweaver was in earlier seasons, wasn't he?
That's right.
Was he?
He's like a CI. That's why they that they go to him for information. He's like a heroin addict, I think.
I fast forwarded through that whole scene,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
I think
I'm
they
not
met him at a
watching any of
motel.
that go down.
Right.
Basically, every soup in this world has like something going on, right? Remember the Haley Joel Osment character and everything?
Mesmer or something?
Yeah. Was that what?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's
But
interesting.
we basically get him super high on heroin, so he's knocked out for several days, and then Huey has to wear the suit and sneak in there as
Go
Webweaver,
undercover. Yeah.
which would be terrifying, honestly. Like, I don't want to be.
Well, again,
around
just a
suits.
really stupid plan that could go wrong and you could get killed very easily. And I think if you're really nitpicking this show for like plot holes and stuff, there's a lot of times when anytime Homelander's in the vicinity, he has super hearing. He should be able to hear people like sneaking around in the house. And like, there's a lot of like, I just have to ignore that because obviously there's some contrivances, but like Homelander with his stated powers, like should be able to always like catch people sneaking around and stuff.
Yeah, we do get the Vought on Ice scene too, where Huey's crawling in the vents and stuff, but it's like
Right.
the drop of sweat is enough to tip him off, but then in the house he can't. Yeah, I see that there's an imbalance, and why does he not kill Huey on
Well, and
sight
Tech
every time he
Knight's
sees him?
abilities are super noticing
Perception.
things. It's like,
Yeah.
well, then you shouldn't try to trick a guy like that at all. He will notice it.
He's a nat 20
It seems like a really
perception.
bad plan, and
Yeah.
even Huey's impression of Web Weaver is like really bad and obvious.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
And I think in the show, like Tech Knight does clock him like immediately, because the first interaction they have, he like rubs his finger on the glass, making a noise to see if Web Weaver would notice it with his Spidey powers, right? His Web Weaver sense.
I guess.
I didn't.
And he doesn't. And I think from that point on, Tech Knight knows he's not really Web Weaver. So if you look at it that way, that whole scene kind of, you're like, oh, he's purposely doing stuff to this guy that thinks he's undercover, but he knows that he's not the person.
Why are
he's
you doing
saying that he
this?
is.
It's horrible.
He's just like a sadistic weirdo, right?
Yeah, well, the whole truth spelled
Loves to-
WHOLE. Like
He
he's
loves
addicted
holes.
to holes, man. Sometimes you gotta cut.
Which
your
we
own.
saw in Gen V a little bit too.
He just sees that tree and he's like, "Damn."
And that's a nice hole.
Yeah. God.
And
Yeah.
it's
what a
all
weird scene.
this, but all the Web Weaver stuff, it's literally just a Tom Holland joke payoff because of the Zendaya thing at the end.
Yeah.
What's oh,
The
That's
safe
just-
word
I
is
didn't even think
Zendaya
about
and he's
that.
Spider-Man. Like, is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
what the whole...
I guess
That's
I didn't
it.
even think about that.
We did
Yeah.
an inversion of Bruce Wayne and Michael Caine.
Yeah,
Okay.
Alfred.
Right, Alfred.
But because Tech Knight reveals that, like, oh, I got this money. Firecracker's like, wow, this is all TV money. He's like, no, this is generational money because
Old
You know,
money.
Yeah,
my
he's basically an old
grandparents-
money racist white family. Yeah,
right. And now he owns
His
private
his
prisons.
ancestors were slave catchers back in the day, and it is making sort of commentary on like, yeah, private prisons are essentially modern day slavery, where you're heavily African American percentage of people in prisons, and they're forced to work for no money. I mean, that's slavery, but yeah.
Right.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, so that's what they're doing. But then his Alfred is a black man, so it's like, oh, he raised me, but he really is just working for me again, like hammering in like that this dude is racist and shitty and
And the Uncle Tom's
slavery.
cabin. I mean, it really is. It's like, well, what if Bruce Wayne accidentally said the N-word? And again, you're watching it, you're like,
Yeah.
that feels like an edgy decision the comics would make. Where are
Right.
you going with this The Boys TV show?
They spent a lot of time on that stuff that's in that episode
The-
in particular too.
It's also like, what if Leonardo DiCaprio from Django Unchained was Batman, basically?
Oh geez. Right.
The other thing is like, there's that other character that's like in the gimp suit when he goes in his basement.
Gladio, the assistant. Yes.
I was
The
mad
other
that they
side.
didn't like take his mask off and like reveal who that was, because like there's
He
just a
seemed
lead
happy
without-
about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very over the top, all the weird sex stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the cake
and-
stuff, like cake farts, seems like something you would have like laughed about online, like Two Girls in a Cup, like in 2008, where you're like, that's funny, but now you're like, that's
Right.
not funny.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think also
It's just edgy.
yeah, and even the way like everything gets resolved, but it's like Huey's not even seemingly like he's having issues after, but like the show is not addressing like what he went through as far as SA whatever. Like it's like we're doing
well,
it
it's played
shock,
for
but
laughs, which is the thing,
right. That's like
And that's what's
even worse.
controversial,
Yeah,
because they're playing. Yeah, you're playing it for laughs, and then at the end, Huey's like, "I'm not okay like that.
I
I'm
miss
not
my
okay."
dad. He's crying over a loss he's had and the fact that he was just raped. You're like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
well, great, but what are you saying with this, Arab Kripke? This is horrible.
yeah. So that was not great for this.
And
It was,
basically
like, the low
showing-
point.
Yeah. And so now you have this Ashley character who's revealed to be like into all this weird sex stuff too this
Yeah.
season, which is
Right.
like, so like all the rich, I guess you're saying like rich elites just do weird sex stuff together in secret, and that's like a commentary on
They're hypocrites.
Real
Yeah, great.
life,
No, I know
but-
they are.
You're
yeah.
right. They're bad people.
Like Ashley is just like a normal person with no powers, and I mean she's heavily involved with Vought and stuff, but it's just like you're just taking
No.
every character to the extreme, it seems like.
They are, but so that's the extreme of quirks. Like I understand that. Like the
Mhm.
two that I'll say kind of I guess are going somewhere. It's like you're developing Ashley with this sadism. Okay, I don't know. The Deep, he's into murder now. Okay, I don't know. But the other stuff that they're pushing too far, like the sexual assault stuff, and then Starlight having an abortion, which there is a narrative importance to it, but honestly, it just feels like misery porn. Like, it just feels like, why are you putting our heroes through just the worst
giving
fucking
her
shit
this,
possible?
Yeah, Starlight has this character, Firecracker, who has like a personal vendetta against her, and we find out it's because of basically Starlight bullied her in the past, and because of that, she's enacting revenge on her by, releasing this secret abortion she had when she was younger and stuff. But yeah, again, that
Not even younger. Prior, like a month ago, it was with Huey. She says,
Right.
One of the most interesting characters to me in this season is also A-Train, because they're doing this whole sort of redemption arc with him. And I think that's more interesting than what they're doing with some of the other soup characters, where it's like, yeah, this guy who basically incited the whole show by killing Huey's girlfriend, right, in the first episode, is now sort of having a change of heart and being like, wait, can I actually be a good person as a superhero and like save people and stuff? And that's more interesting to me than what they're doing with like the Deep and stuff.
Honestly, yeah, I really like the A-Train stuff because we get that parody Will Ferrell cameo of like the white coach teaches the kid from the projects, and it's like, give me
Mike,
the
you
pep
slinging
talk.
that yay? You slinging that yay, Mike?
You slinging that yay? Yeah, I was so pleased with that. I didn't expect that cameo at all, and it was perfectly cast. Like, what do you?
That is very funny.
I
also like. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say that scene that's a parody of a shitty movie plot. We then get the flip of that when Mother's Milk is like, you could do the right thing. Like, why are you standing here? Like we get the actual version of that scene of doing the right thing versus a Hollywood parody bullshit like Vapid.
And this has been sort of an ongoing thing with his family, where he has a brother who trained him, and his brother's kids, he wants to like be a hero in their eyes, and his brother's like, you're like a terrible person though, like you're a piece of shit,
you suck.
Yeah his legs get broken because of A-Train's involvement, and then he has to accept the apology of that asshole. I can't remember, Blue Falcon or some bullshit.
Blue Hawk.
Right. Yeah,
Captain Falcon, that's his name, Mike.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting to have one of these soup characters who's been entrenched in the whole Vought thing for so long being like, wait, maybe I can try to become a good person. I also like the recurring director character who's been in the show is very funny to me. And they're doing some funny stuff with him this season where he's becoming like a Joss Whedon bad guy type, where he's like doing stuff,
tearing him down,
hitting on,
being weird to women on sets and stuff. Yep. Yeah.
No, and then that ties into Ryan's stuff with Homelander, because Homelander's got Ryan with him, and he's trying to like, what did we say about humans? They're just like toys for our amusement. Like, he's trying to get Ryan to like,
right.
But Ryan's
that's
like,
what this season is sort of. Yeah, what the last 2 seasons have basically been is like Butcher fighting for Ryan's soul. Like, is Ryan going to go the good way with Butcher or the bad way with Homelander? And Butcher's like doing whatever he can to just like save Ryan. That's all. He's dying. He has like 6 months to live. All he wants to do is save Ryan. And if he can do that, then he can die and feel like he accomplished something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some good complexity. I like the Homelander stuff of the obsession with Ryan, but he can't get out of his own way. He hates aging. He feels like he's losing that spotlight. He also doesn't really relate to his son. Like, his son is like kind of like a loser in his mind, in an opinion. A lot of times he can't believe they like fucks this shit up. I thought maybe the best episode of the season was Homelander's past, that whole episode.
I did like that too.
Going downstairs to the lab. Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Let me show you why we call this the bad room.
And again, that's something with Homelander where it's not like just a direct political satire. Like, it's actually doing something with the Homelander character, which is interesting, and like humanizing him in a way, but also he's doing terrible things to these people who were, maybe abused him as a kid, but maybe don't deserve to die in the extreme ways that he kills them in. But
Vought is completely evil, and what the experiments they were subjecting these children that they injected V into, but those people were performing an official function of their job, technically, right? Like, it's terrible stuff, and Vought should not have done any of that. It's fucking crazy. But yeah, do they deserve to be tortured like that or whatever? But it informs a lot about the Vought program with Gen V, and like, instead of giving him a family and raising him, they're like, we're just going to guinea pig baby Superman for his entire like adolescence. Like, that's crazy. That was
fucking
where they took.
And they never thought like Maybe this could backfire if we're mistreating this super powered individual that will later grow up and want
Let's
to
make a
enact
god.
revenge. Yeah.
Yeah. But he has a need for approval. Like that's the one thing. His one weakness
That's his
is
ultimate weakness.
Yeah.
yeah.
If you are a blonde woman, God help you. You have control over this man.
man.
Yeah,
if you
but even
just-
then he can sometimes be like rise above that control, like when he kills Elizabeth Shue, right?
yeah,
In the first
Karate Kid.
season. Where it's like, yeah, you might think you have control. And that's what's so interesting now in this last episode with the firecracker character, where it's like, oh, she might be smarter than she looks because she's now
My
winning
big boy.
over
My big strong boy.
which was one of
Yeah.
the most surprising scenes to me this season.
Was
when,
it?
when the
I
milk
nothing
squirts on
shocks me anymore on
Homelander's
this
face and he makes
that
the
reaction.
most insane face I've ever seen.
Now, when he says, I'm not physically attracted to you, what is wrong with him? Valerie Curry, this actress, who I know from The Tick, another Amazon superhero show, very strange that she's joined this one
wow.
as Firecracker, is a knockout.
Yeah, no, she's very beautiful, and I think it's also funny that they have her playing this right-wing news anchor when in real life she is like identified as being a lesbian. So it's like she gets to play a really fun off type for her, and she's doing a great
Yes.
job.
Yeah.
I like
Basically,
the
she's
Firecracker
portrayed
character a
as
lot.
this. Yeah, she's like this racist, dumb hick, but then she's smarter than she looks because she's, psychologically bonding with Homelander in a way that no one else is, and it's like,
Yes.
yeah, that might be a really smart plan for you, actually.
Especially if all you can do
She
is make
is-
sparks.
Well, she is a parody, Mike, of Jubilee. Now, Jacob, you've said Jubilee has the dumbest superpower in superhero history. Is
Yes.
Firecrackers
I
maybe
can make
worse?
fireworks.
Right.
Yeah, this is like, I like when she first meets Sage. She's like, but I'm like strong too. Like I can
She's
do
like,
other stuff.
Show me the sparks. She's like, but I'm strong too.
They are
Yeah.
constantly infantilizing her, like the higher ranks of the seven, like Homelander, and like we're having an adult conversation. They probably have some Capri Sun or something at the counter. Like they are, because she's just from a hick town. Like they're using her as an ends to a means, and that's been frustrating her
Yes.
this whole season. So she's
Well,
finally.
that's how they see her basically, and like Sage, like is just using her as like a mouthpiece for the right wing base, right?
I mean, her costume is an open top and denim shorts. Essentially, she's wearing Daisy Dukes, so
Yeah.
she is leaning into that imagery.
And obviously,
Yes.
she's a parody of like real life right wing pundits and people like that. But
Tommy
just like
Lahiran, MTG, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's
but
saying
even
I'm
like like
selling,
leaning into the Alex Jones kind of thing, but just as like a hot female Alex Jones kind of thing.
Yeah, she's like, I'm selling meaning. Like she knows it's bullshit. She just is selling to an audience base. Even before she joins the Seven, she's at like some right wing con thing that they infiltrate.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
critical
another
soup
shocking
theory.
scene.
Yeah.
There's something, and I know this is going to sound desperate and sad given that we're on one, but there's something so real about a character saying, my podcast only had like 100 listeners.
Right.
Yeah, maybe that's why I felt a little bit of sympathy for her.
Well, maybe we should do a right wing turn. We can
Oh,
get
we'll
bigger
be leaning
audience.
in. The second we want that money, we will be leaning
Yeah.
in. You guys let me know. We will pull that trigger immediately.
When is the Nintendo Switch 2 releasing? We need to get that money.
Yeah. Yeah. Get ready.
There's an interesting commentary there because a lot of people like Ben Shapiro and these people that are popular in the right wing rightosphere of media are people that are failed screenwriters and stuff that wanted to work in Hollywood and failed and said, I'm going to focus on right wing political stuff. And you can very easily get an audience that way.
Well,
if you sell your
surely
soul,
that
basically.
is the metaphor about Sister Sage as well, as a person of color who's sort of throwing her hand in as the, well, they'll accept me to the leopards eat my face party. But to go back to what you guys were saying, something that bugs me a little bit, to criticize the writing a bit again. When you guys said that you don't know what Sister Sage's motivations are, and we all agree that we also don't know what Victoria Newman's motivations are, why are there so many characters on the show where I still don't know like what they want or like what their goals are, or where they're headed?
Yeah, I think Victoria Newman, at this point, she just wants power like Homelander. And if she can be the figurehead president, she's, I guess, happy with that. And if she can protect her daughter and protect herself, then she's happy doing that. But again, they're even saying like, in this episode, they're like, does Victoria Newman know about like internment camps and these plans that they have for their coup and stuff? Like, does she know the whole picture, or is she sort of being used?
And they act like it's a big deal that, like, well, she's got a conscience and she'll turn. And I'm like, I don't.
She's evil. She's killed
Well,
like a bunch of people.
She's been
Right.
crazy for 2 seasons now. I feel like we've kind of not known what she wants. She was killing people on your spin-off show. Like, it's very hard for me to feel any sympathy, or for you to, I guess, maybe try a curveball. I'm not sure if we think multiple characters. Here's my issue, because we all agree. I agree with you guys. The A-Train thing is good. The curveball or the shift or the weird, let's keep these characters around, what I was complaining about with the Deep. We need to talk about Black Noir, because I think he's maybe the best character this season. Let's talk about that for a second.
Stuff too.
But my issue is, are we suffering way too much of, well, I'm Eric Kripke. I like working with Chance Crawford. I like working with the A-Train actor. I don't want to get rid of him at this point. So, like, if everybody's switching sides and stuff, at least that gives everybody something to do.
Yeah, I think the A-Train plot is going to end with him being killed by Homelander at some point. Like, I think that's the logical conclusion of his storyline. Yeah.
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 Otherwise, he hasn't gone anywhere. It doesn't seem bloodless. All of a sudden, they're afraid to kill people on a show that is about killing people, I thought.
Right, and that's something you can't do as a show. Like, imagine if Game of Thrones was just like, oh, we can't kill Rob Stark and stuff because people like
people
him too
love
much.
him. People love Rob Stark.
Right.
You sometimes need to kill some of your most popular characters if that makes sense for the story. So I think it should end with him dying. Like, he's having the full conversion to trying to be a good person, but that ultimately ends with him dying. Would make the most sense.
He'll make the ultimate sacrifice. A final act of heroism, sort of like what Maeve did, jumping Soldier Boy out of entire building.
Right.
Another character they were too scared to kill, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They sort of wrote her off, but left it open that
Maeve, we'll see ya.
Yeah.
We will?
Maybe.
For what reason? Half your team as the boys should be, let's call Maeve to kill some people. Or, like, earlier when you guys were talking about the virus, I don't mean to be this guy again, because, like, I understand it was a different season, but if you leave these narrative things, you have to deal with them. The whole plot this season should be, hey, let's go unfreeze Soldier Boy, and he should just blast Homelander. Like, I know we blew that last time, but that's still an option for us. Like,
right.
If this virus is so hard, let's go do the thing we have. We have this guy.
Let's make sure that Ryan's not there, and then it'll work.
Easy.
Yeah. Just let him go. Because he tried to kill Ryan, and that's why they were like, whoa, Soldier Boy, chill out.
We know soups from Gen V like Touch Girl exist. Hey, Touch Girl, go touch Homelander and tell him to fly into the sun.
Right. Well, we do see her a little bit in this season. Her and the
B-52 con.
Sam.
Yep.
And obviously, there's going to be a Gen V season 2, so we'll see how that goes.
We probably haven't talked about it since Chance Palmodero died. The
right.
actor,
one of the main characters in that show, the actor tragically passed away. How are they going to address that in the show? That's a question too.
But I see what you're saying. Where we need to figure out the virus. We have Soldier Boy. We know he's still around. And as much as I think we are getting too many characters that aren't doing enough, I would like to see Soldier Boy back, because that was one of the best characters.
Yeah, well, I think Soldier Boy, that's something that they're leaving open for future seasons. Because, like, Jensen Ackles, we'll get him back, of course, but I wouldn't want him to come back this season, because last season was so Soldier Boy heavy.
Fair.
It's like every season has had new soups that have come in for like a season or two. Like, obviously you had Stormfront, and she was a good addition.
Yep.
And then you had Soldier Boy. Now you have Sage and Firecracker and stuff.
Maybe the weakest as far as villains go, because those other two just
Sage
knocked
is
it
still
out for
interesting.
season 1 villains. Yeah, but
then
what's
again,
she
her whole
doing, dog?
thing is-
We got 2 more.
Her whole thing is that she loves to get brain damage so she can be dumb and like watch Transformers and have sex with the Deep, which is funny.
Turn on. Let's watch the Ray
Right.
J video. Fuck me in the ass while we watch Transformers 2. She says as well.
Yes.
Yeah, she's
Which
my
is
dream
interesting,
girl.
like, if you're
You could go for
cursed
Crunch Wrap,
with, to be the smartest person in the world, it's more of a curse than a gift, really, because you're just obviously dumb people have more fun in life. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of obvious
Right.
to me.
You just enjoy nothing.
You don't have to think about all the real world stuff that's happening. You're just like, I'm gonna go ride my jet ski or whatever.
Ignorance
But-
is bliss, the Matrix.
Yeah.
Right?
But Mike, Jake and I were talking about this. If you're a little girl and you invent cancer, and yeah, there's this like racist like white guys are like, yeah, whatever, little girl. Somebody would still buy that cure for cancer,
Yeah,
right?
if it was
Like, you
actually
could
the cure
still
for
use
cancer.
that.
Someone will
Yeah.
want that. They won't be like, oh, we're not going to listen to you because you're a black woman or something. But
That's kind of what her motivation is presented. Her mother was sick and she found the cure for cancer, where they said, we don't care. And, that's so she's like, fuck everybody then.
right, but you can still go to like college and like become a PhD, and then people will respect you.
You should
like-
still cure the environment. You said you
Yeah.
could do that. You live on this planet, regardless of what you think it will do to the rest of us. Fix the environment.
Yeah, she claimed to be able to fix global warming, all of it. Yeah.
Her whole outlook just seems to be like people are dumb and
Nihilism.
like maybe yeah, she's like a nihilist. She's a cynic. She just wants maybe the world should just end or something.
If
But
I
like,
got shot in the head and my head couldn't heal, but my brain could. So what? I'm just like hoping it doesn't hit my brain stem or like my spine, I guess. But like the holes still would like bleed and shit, right?
I don't know. Is that so she can regenerate her brain, but not the rest of her body? Is
She
that how it
said,
works?
don't jab my eye. That will blind me. I can only regrow my brain. And then he shoots her in the brain
Yeah.
later.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if
That's not good.
over
So
time.
wouldn't
no,
she have
no.
a thing like there forever now?
Put a little cover on it. Then you can
Could
stop
heal.
doing the eye thing. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe
Put a little
it heals.
makeup on there.
Yeah. But yeah, her motivation is kind of weird. And who knows if she's ultimately going to turn on Homelander or like whatever. Maybe she has a bigger vision and he's just a piece on the board for her too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think she is sort of using him, but at the same time, like that's a really dangerous gambit to be like, I'm gonna try to use the strongest person in the world. I'm sure that's not going to backfire somehow because he could just laser me to death at any second if he wanted to.
Right. But make yourself useful, Furiosa. Like, have a function to him, and at least for the time being, but at any moment, yeah, he could flip,
Yeah. And that's what's kind of funny with Homelander is like he's smart enough to realize that he's surrounded by like idiots and yes men. So he's like, I need to hire someone smart who won't just be a yes man, and he does. But then he's also kind of mad when she goes like against what he wants to do. He's like, well, that's what you wanted, like someone who would challenge you. And he's like, he's not smart enough to know that he can't just run the plan by himself. And then he immediately breaks down when he's like questioned by the politicians and stuff. He's just like, with the political details, he's like, I don't know, I don't care. And then that's when Victoria Newman kind of steps up, right?
Yeah, because they make her an offer she can't refuse, basically. Like, we're going to out you. Like, fuck you. We know you're doing your own thing and you're trying to become president through whatever you're doing, but you're working for us now or basically else. So she reluctantly steps up to explain the plan. And, oh no.
Yeah, because Sage is temporarily brain damaged.
Right.
Maybe best moment of the season is when Victoria Newman steps in and she gives Sage the knowing nod, and Sage gives her the knowing nod back, and then she gives her two more.
Which
and
is like, what the fuck
that's
is this
too
girl
many
doing?
nods.
Yep. That's some good moments for that, yeah.
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 But to talk about Black Noir too, Colin.
Oh my god!
Like you said,
What the fuck? This is fucked up.
Yep.
So of course, last season we had the real Black Noir. Had a whole story with him where we sort of learned his backstory, which was very interesting to me. And then he obviously dies, right? So they replace him.
Here's the thing. I was a little bugged. Last season, we get the flashback, like you're saying, that shows him unmasked. And it was a different actor. It wasn't Nathan Mitchell, the guy who does the stand-in performance of Black Noir all season. And I'm like, why would you not cast him? That's so dumb. That sucks. They kill that
the actor
version.
Now is the guy that's been playing
Nathan Mitchell.
in the suit the whole time.
It's so perfect. And now to see him like taking his mask off and being him, I'm like, oh, you waited around and you got the better part. That's so cool, dude.
That's what surprised me is I didn't know that the unmasked actor was not the guy under the suit. It was this guy the whole time. And now he's playing a different character. He's like, I don't understand why I can't talk. Like this sucks. Like I'm a black ninja. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't even like Saki. Like
I don't like
hate
this part.
shit.
He hates being Black Noir. Black Noir, who was basically an invincible zombie, we find out this guy who is from Vought Circus du Soleil, he's mainly a performer,
He's an
but
actor,
seems to
yeah.
have the abilities to be invulnerable, super strength, and he can fly, which he has not shown yet. It seems like he's a pretty good superhero with all those powers.
Right.
Yeah. And in the comics, Black Noir was a clone of Homelander, like a secret
Right.
clone. So having the
Which doesn't
power of
make any
flight
sense.
for a Black Noir, it doesn't. But for this, like we're bringing in maybe some elements of that, of someone
Yeah.
who could at least hang for a couple seconds with Homelander, maybe, like if it came to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is kind of reminding me of last season how much I liked the Soldier Boy flashback Cold War stuff, and thought that was a really interesting.
Mhm.
That was great. I loved
Angle.
it.
Yeah,
USO
I wish
stuff, yeah.
wish I could see that stuff again.
And you know, Soldier Boy is the reason why he can't talk, because he just beat the shit out of him and basically
Right.
made him mute. You know, so that's the whole.
And
thing
again,
too.
of course, Homelander's dad. We know all this weird familial legacy stuff.
Yes, and Homelander's been a disappointment to every father figure, whatever. Like he still wants approval, and that's why when Sage says, "If you kill the populace, who will build your, monuments?" Like he wants monuments, he wants praise. However he can get it. So
Yeah,
Even though he does age, I mean, would he die of old age eventually?
I think he can, yeah, but he's not that old because he's. But yeah, there's you see
The
in this season,
Liberty
he's
slash
getting white hair and stuff.
Stormfront
Yeah.
didn't age. We know that fucking
Right. Soldier Boy.
Soldier
doesn't
Boy
age.
didn't age. Yeah.
tell Sage to solve that problem for you. Hey,
Yeah,
when you
dog.
got 10 minutes, stop me from aging.
Fix
Thank
the
you.
earth. Make it so you don't need to dye your hair anymore.
But obviously,
Right.
you do age from you start as a kid and you become an adult. So he was a kid, like right, and like Ryan's gonna age. So I don't know how that works exactly.
Yeah.
Do we
Maybe
like?
different.
I've seen a lot of people pointing out, "Oh, Ryan, it's so crazy he's doing this voice." The young man is going through puberty. We all understand that, right? That is his
Yeah.
real voice.
Right.
Yeah, and that's one thing they're having trouble going forward is like he's a regular person growing up, and like so to tell the story of like where Ryan was a couple years ago, like it's kind of jarring.
Yeah,
It's been
the
2
Stranger
months
Things
since
thing.
Homelander killed that guy. Yeah, 2 years later, Ryan is
Which-
as tall as Homelander.
Yeah, it's the
You're like,
Stranger Things
okay.
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gen V is fast, or V.
Right. But
Makes you big.
Mm-hmm.
the original Ryan was played by a different actor in the first season.
Yeah.
They recast him because he had a bigger part in the later seasons. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with him.
I think he's a good actor. I like this kid. I wasn't here last week, but I was surprised you guys didn't bring up. I think one of the big weaknesses of The Acolyte is those 2 little girls that played Ocean May are very bad actors.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
they're only in one episode at least. and
But
the worst
Cameron, the
episode.
guy who plays Ryan, he's a twin. That is 2 people playing as well. So it's kind of a similar situation.
That's a
Wow.
classic movie way to get around child labor laws because you have certain children can only shoot for a certain amount of time, and
Right.
you have to have
Get an
certain
identical
hours.
one.
So you can
Wow.
do double the shooting time. You just switch them out,
Yeah, very clever. The old parent trap.
Mary
How
Kate and
wooed.
Ashley.
Oh, you read my mind.
That's right. How wooed.
How wooed.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
The
glad
boys.
that Black Noir actor is able to finally show his face and have a meteor part. Will be clearly he doesn't like. If anybody else would flip, it might be him because he just doesn't like the part anyway.
Yeah, or he just might leave, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where that's heading. Like we said, we got 2 more left. I know we haven't gone super in-depth for this whole season. I will say, I do like it. I like it as much as I've kind of... Again, I'll admit it's probably the weakest season since the first, but it's a show that, like Jacob said, I tune into every week, and I always have a good time watching it, so...
Yeah, whenever
Yeah.
it's on, we like to watch it. And even Gen V, I didn't think I was going to like that, but I watched it and I liked it, and I want to see, the next season and how that.
I like
ties
to
in and
text
stuff.
my boys when I'm watching The Boys and say, look at my
That's right.
boys.
Yeah,
These are my boys.
season 3. I would do
Um,
watch parties with my cousin. Like every week, we would wait for it to drop, and we would watch it together over the internet with the Amazon Watch Party feature. TM not sponsored.
Damn.
Right.
Yeah,
But I do think it needs to have like this. I feel like this season needs to end with some characters dying because that is a problem where it's like, oh, if nobody can die in this universe, if you don't want to kill off any of your main characters, then it kind of loses all its stakes. But if you have some shocking deaths, like I feel like A Train is the most likely to happen, like at the end of this season.
Yeah.
Butcher, I mean, he has like a terminal illness, right? So he's going to
But
die
even
at some
that, I
point.
don't
But he's
believe. Like every
the biggest
episode, I'm
star of
like,
the show.
so when will we fix this? Like, when will
Yeah.
this get taken care of?
Right. How
Fair.
are they going to write their way out of it? Like he's going
And
to.
what is his power? Do you guys
fear.
think? We saw a little bit with the rabbit, maybe.
Oh yeah, there's something. Yeah, there's like a worm growing around in there. We're not sure what that's about.
Yeah.
Maybe a side effect of taking too much V. But then we do know that like at some point he passes out, and I don't know if he's super strength, but he's able to kill Ezekiel. At the right wing rally earlier on in the season too.
Yeah, he's having visions. And we didn't even talk about his sort of plot right now. Is that he basically kidnapped the scientist that was working with Victoria Newman, who apparently was her love interest, right? This
Boy,
guy.
Gov, she put a baby in you, Gov.
Yeah.
There's this whole episode where he ends up going missing. Turns out Butcher has him cut off his leg to show to the people so that they think he's dead, right? But really he's keeping him chained up and saying, make a cure, make the virus that strong enough to kill Homelander. Then the scientist tells him like, yeah, basically if I do that, it's going to kill every soup in the world. So that's
Imaginary Becca says, what about Kimiko and Annie?
right. So that's the whole angel and devil on his shoulder thing, which all comes to a head in sort of a cliffhanger of the last episode. So how will that get resolved? How will A Train get resolved? These are some questions we'll see probably answer.
That's the Butcher subplot. Let's wrap up one more big plot thing for this season because I'm very curious on Mike's take on this because you said we need to step up to some major deaths. We do have a minor death with a character. We do lose Huey's father, Mike. We did get the return of Simon Pegg. Did you like all that stuff?
Yeah, again, it was removed from kind of the core group of the boys, but I think we also get Huey's mom comes back and there's that drama. Why do you leave us? Whatever. Not whatever. It's affecting emotionally. But I think with Simon Pegg, this is some of the best acting I've ever seen him do. I was really impressed with it. As a side plot goes, I think it was maybe one of the better executed ones of the season. That's up to this point.
It was a really emotional side plot. And, it is sad to see Simon Pegg, not being on the show anymore. And it does seem like they're pivoting to now like, oh, we can explore Huey's relationship with his mom. And it's like, oh, I don't care about that as much.
Unless it's that side of it.
Married to a actress I haven't seen in a while. How did she have access to the V? Because obviously Huey has this whole will, he won't.
Well,
he puts it away and doesn't it.
He had A Train steal it, remember? And then his mom...
But he decides not to administer it.
He decides not to, but then he leaves and his mom sees it and then administers it when he's out.
And she just picks up blue medicine and goes, well, we got to just feed this to...
I think she's like, I thought you wanted me to Huey, right? Or something like that. So.
Yeah.
But that whole scene where he gets injected with it, gets powers, but also has like amnesia or like doesn't know what's going on, accidentally kills people.
Yeah. I mean, he had a stroke. Part of his brain is dead, and he was brought back to life. That's horrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really graphic when he like teleports into the middle of someone, and they just like.
Well, you said teleports. His powers are he's Kitty Pryde. He's like a phasing guy, right? Is that sort of what it is?
Yeah, you can phase through walls and stuff, right?
It's like when the Flash is vibrating like molecules through stuff, right?
Yeah,
right.
We haven't seen that in the boys' universe. That's dope.
Yeah, in typical boys' fashion, whenever people use superpowers, there's collateral damage that usually ends up with innocent people dying horrifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, Huey has to make the decision of like, well, you're too dangerous. We have to basically let you die because you're too dangerous.
You're a pit bull with rabies.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
We gotta take you out back.
Super like emotional too because of the will I won't I use the V and then like to once again have to make that call again. Like it's really crazy.
It gave him this false hope that he could bring his dad back, and ultimately he can't.
Yeah.
It's a really
I would like
tough
to point out
thing.
I don't care no matter what happens to me. Give me the V. Give me anything if I'm going. Do whatever you can.
Give me a shot.
But if you're already like brain damaged or have like dementia, basically you don't know what's going on, is it worth living? Like
a big plot in the comics is Lamplighter does die, I guess again spoiler alert, like he does in these previous seasons or whatever. But something I always wondered if they'd explore, a big comic plotline is what happens when you give a corpse V. Lamplighter is kept as a zombie basically for a huge
Oh.
major arc of the story. I kept wondering, oh, will we get Simon Pegg zombie, Shaun of the Dead?
Oh my
Sure,
gosh.
sure, yeah.
Right.
It seems like V can do whatever they write it to do, basically.
Whatever it wants to do,
Yeah.
that specific moment. Adults can't take it unless they want to take it.
If you take
Yeah.
it too
Okay.
much, you can get it like
Yeah.
terminal disease. But if you were
Yeah.
injected as a baby or something, you can be raised with superpowers. I
A
don't know.
Train can do it as
Yeah.
much as he wants in the first season. It doesn't matter,
That's
but it
right.
does. But it also really
Juicing.
doesn't.
no.
Yeah.
It has
I guess
to
if
have
you
other
don't,
content.
if you're not already superpowered, it can be dangerous because if you take too much, you can overdose. Basically,
What would happen if Homelander took more V right now?
Ooh.
it would probably just accelerate his terminalness? I guess like he would die sooner. Maybe I don't know.
Homelander would?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Butcher.
Yeah, what would it?
Homelander. I don't think he would do anything.
Because his
to him.
heart is invincible. He can't get hurt like A Train,
But
right?
it wouldn't make him
Right.
stronger. It just wouldn't do anything because he's already as
wouldn't?
strong as
Is,
he
is
possibly
there
could be.
is he at the ceiling, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Could he get stronger? That would be crazy. Yeah, it does kind of whatever the writers need it to do, I guess. And everybody has different genetics. Like that's your excuse. Like I don't know, affects everybody.
Right.
different. But yeah, that
But
was
ultimately,
good
yeah.
arc.
But well, let me ask you this, Colin, because I asked Mike and back last week when we were talking the Acolyte with our guest host Adam from the Cargo Bay, that we thank for joining us last week. Great
Cargo Bay
episode.
on
We had a lot
YouTube.
of fun talking
Great,
about that.
wonderful episode. Thank you for coming on, Adam.
Yeah. But where do you rank these shows? So we have, of course, the Acolyte. We have the Boys. We have House of the Dragon that we're watching right now. You can throw in the Bear if you're watching the Bear. Where do you rank these seasons in terms of like which one do you like the most?
The horrifying thing being, I am watching all of those shows.
Nice.
Yes. The Bear's the only
Solo
one I'm
time.
not caught up on. I'm like
It's not
halfway
genre. I
through
get
season
it.
2.
Yeah,
I've liked it enough
no
when I've
dragons.
watched it. I just haven't. Yeah, there's no dragons. There's no Homelander.
Superpowers.
There's no lightsabers.
And I will not rank Shogun like Adam did as well, because obviously I have watched that previously.
Shogun beats them all for me. Yeah.
Shogun beats them all. Here's the thing. I will answer your question by bringing up that sometimes on episodes you ask questions like these, where like consider a Boys episode where you'll be like, "Hey guys, what power would you want?" I believe you did that for X-Men '97. Jacob,
Right.
I have been daydreaming since yesterday the question you're going to ask me in the next episode of what would you name your dragon? I
Ooh.
exist only in Dragon World. What is my number
What
one?
would your
I
dragon
will tell
look
you.
like? Yeah.
There are dragons. I am a dragon
Absolutely.
boy.
Especially after last night's episode, which we will be
all I
talking
wanna
about
talk
next
about.
week.
Yeah.
And I'm
We need to
definitely
do
looking
this
forward to that.
dumb episode instead, where I have to talk about sexual assault and a father dying. When instead, all I want to talk about is beautiful little dragons flying
right.
through the air,
A
doing
dance of
dragony
dragons.
things.
Yeah.
Where are my
Yeah.
dragons?
I love
my
that every
dragons.
every Targaryen has their own dragon with its own name and personality and look and everything. Yeah, it's great. We love dragons.
I want to kiss every one of them.
We want to talk about dragons instead of draconian regimes.
Wow,
which
very
is what
true.
Homelander is working
Basically.
towards.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Like,
Could a
that's the top.
dragon
Like
kill
I said,
Homelander? Yeah.
It challenges me, and I think in a good way, where it's like I watch it. I don't always know what's going on House of the D, but that's what's cool about it. In the same way with Shogun, those are adult material. Like it's good. This is like mid. This is like I maybe get more excited about the Acolyte now because it's fresh and weird. So I'll put this third.
Yeah. I agree. I would say, well,
Bear,
House
I
of the
don't care
Dragon
about that much.
won. Yeah. I said last week, like I said last week, the Boys, then the Acolyte, but I said they're very close. The Acolyte with the recent episodes might be surpassing the Boys.
We got
for
this
me.
very sexy recent episode where I'm like all of a sudden maybe more into the show than I ever have been before.
Yeah, we got big Raylo vibes going on right
The
now.
handsome menace.
Yeah.
The handsome menace. Darth Baby Tease is out here flashing that D.
I think that's the only problem with
Lightsaber D.
Acolyte is that they didn't start utilizing the Manny Jacinto character earlier, because that's really got me more invested in the show for sure.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, the Boys, it's not bad, but it's definitely, I would say, mid for me as well, where it's like it's entertaining, but it's not challenging me to the same degree as like House of the Dragons or something like that. So yeah, I would agree.
I think we'll have to wait till the whole season's done before I say if I like it more than The Acolyte. But definitely, like it's pulp. Like House of the Dragon is like high art, quote unquote. Like this is very
Yeah.
like pulpy to me, which is fine.
Even
but I
House of the
think it's,
Dragon can be
you know,
very melodramatic, and there's dragons and stuff, but there is more just interesting writing going on to me than in The Boys, right?
There's just
There's
stuff I
some-
like looking at.
yeah, and just some dialogue scenes that'll be better than like almost an entire episode of The Boys. Like House of the Dragon's
Yeah.
very good, and I'm excited to talk about it. But I'm
Hell
enjoying
yeah.
most of it. I think maybe get a little bit of comic books, tone that
I'm like, oh,
stuff down.
Himiko's frustrated about not being able to communicate again. All right.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
meet a person from her past. I don't know what that's all about. Or
Yeah,
care.
where is this headed? This Frenchie subplot that I truly could not care less about. Great.
Right.
Yeah.
He's having this whole guilt thing where first of all, a lot of people are complaining because like the Kimiko Frenchie thing, some people are like, they should just be together, like they should be romantically involved.
I don't know. I don't
There's
care.
a lot of people
Yeah.
shipping that. I get it. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm fine either way.
Yeah.
What the show is doing is like, oh no, they're more like brother and sister, so that just they can't be together because they're just so close that they're family basically.
Hmm.
Okay, fine. So Frenchie, who's bi, is with this guy who he apparently killed this guy's whole family when he was younger, and it's like that's a whole thing, and he feels over that. It's like
Mhm.
I just don't care that much, I guess.
No, not at all.
Keeps hanging out over there for several days, racked with guilt. Like, why are you going over here
Right.
still? Like, what's wrong with
It
you?
once again just seems manufactured to separate the boys from each other. Which
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't a huge fan of that either. So
Truly every member of the boys is like at their lowest point right now, and then you have Mother's Milk just trying to hold it all together. It just feels like the boys as an organization is just completely crumbling, but I'm sure by the end of the season something will happen where they'll all be back together again, right?
And there, like,
Mhm.
there are common opportunities. Like Starlight smokes weed with Kimiko and Frenchie because she hits rock bottom. I'm like, funny,
Right.
cool. The
mhm.
rest of it, where she's like, I don't have enough money to run my runaway orphanage, and like I'm having an abortion with Huey, and he's worried about his dad's stuff, and like my
Right.
powers
She's trying to
aren't
be there
working.
for Huey.
I'm like, oh my god,
Her powers
what is
aren't
going on
working.
here?
Mhm.
She has this whole
Too
conflict
much.
of like, I want to run this as Annie, not as Starlight. It's just like, just be Starlight.
Don't you
That's
understand what it's like
people
to have
want you to
two
do.
identities?
Yeah.
No, I don't think
I
you
don't
do
care,
either.
yeah.
Just be Star. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right. You can get a costume that you actually like. Just be Starlight.
Don't you understand? I'm
Right.
Miley. Hannah
you can get a
Montana
new-
is someone different. You're like,
Yeah.
well, I know, but Hannah Montana does a lot of good, it seems like. So, like, I
Right.
don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Superman's not out here like, I need people to know like that Clark Kent's like a good person. I'm
Did you
gonna
see
run
my
things
name
as
in the
Clark
paper?
Kent.
Clark Kent,
Right.
Yeah.
writer.
No, just be Starlight. Yeah. It
It's
doesn't matter.
marketing 101, the reach of the brand. Use some of the
Yeah.
tactics that you learned. You need to have
Yeah, and the
branding.
optics of like you're trying to take down
Yeah.
Homelander. You need to be like appear as a superhero and be like Homelander is like a bad guy. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm catching strays right now. I'm just throwing out everything. I'm
Yeah.
kitchen sinking real quick. Like the VOT plus diversity program, black it forward or whatever they call it.
Oh.
Hilarious, great. The
Right.
whole like this is special 19 of the VOT film universe. Funny, great.
Yeah.
That feels like what you guys used to think the show was about.
They did do
Yeah.
that episode where they released like the phase whatever of that, which
Yeah.
was very very funny. Obviously, reference to
VOT
MCU.
plus.
Yeah, where they have all these planned films and stuff. That's a very
You'll get a
funny-
digital ad where if you're a certain minority, the ad will be for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hilarious, I guess. Again, it seems so malicious that Amazon's making these jokes that I'm sure tries these things. So
Right. And this
Yeah.
has always been in the show where it's like there's basically two paths you can go as a soup. If you are good enough, you can be an actual like crime fighter, or you can go into a media career and become an actor.
yeah,
basically.
Gen
That was a big
V,
part
are
of
you
Gen V.
are you going to specialize in saves or media?
Yeah. Which is an interesting
Yeah.
commentary on media and stuff in real life, I think. But
I guess. Yeah.
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 Like the
they,
VOT universe has always been like everything. It's like MCU to the 10th degree, where it's like every popular movie is like VOT. Like there's tons of like merch and stuff for VOD in the background all the time. It's like people have grown up their
Jacob,
whole lives thinking.
But when we genetically release Brad Pitt or a movie star from the vault after creating him, and we're like, God help us all, and we unleash him on the world, like, he can't destroy the world. Why did Vought do this again? Why would it matter to make the greatest celebrity invincible and capable of like ripping us all into pieces?
Right. Well, that's the other thing is like the whole time Vought's also been an analogy for big pharma, where it's like the real product of Vought is like V basically, and Homelander
And
was
the
essentially
money will
created
be
to
in
be a
getting them in the
figurehead.
military.
Yeah,
Right.
doing military deals. Now they're working on this cure to this virus that can wipe out soup. So it's like they've got their hand in everything. Kind of, they're just this
I
giant
guess.
evil corporation.
Vought Farms, they're in food production.
Yeah,
You know,
and that was was so impactful when they had Stan Edgar, Giancarlo Esposito, not in this season, but when he actually had the confrontation with Homelander, and it's like, this guy's not scared of Homelander because he's actually more powerful than
human is more powerful than a god because of the rules of bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Homelander just takes it.
Yeah, but who knows? I mean,
that was when the show was good. You're right, Jacob.
Yeah, well, it's just like, how long will this show go on for? What's the ultimate end game? It feels like it definitely could take a supernatural turn where it's like it's just going to run for 15 years and it'll slowly decrease in quality, but the first 5 seasons will be the prime of the show or whatever. I don't know. That's definitely a path that could go down. I feel like it would be much better if it ended after 5, maybe 6 seasons, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think we're getting close to final thoughts, but last thing for main show, what about the flying sheep? Is that good? Feels like the
Did
old
you like
seasons?
the farm episode?
Kind of hijinks.
I saw a lot of people being like, why was any of this an issue? Couldn't Victoria just blow up every animal's head that they come across? And I didn't really think about that at the time, but I don't know. Again, I don't really know what her motivations are, so I don't know.
No.
Maybe not, because they're all V injected, so they're too strong to be blown up or something. Because it's like, could Victoria Newman just explode Homelander's head? Has that been talked about in the show?
Could she just blow up the brain tumor?
Huh.
Right.
Yeah, how accurate are you with that thing? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I know that the boys have sort of a standoff, a mutually assured destruction with her, where it's like, if you pop one of our heads, like, we're released to the press that like you're the head popper and all this stuff.
What would the world even care about this at that point, I guess?
Yeah. Well, to reveal that she's working with Vought and Homelander and stuff.
And what does that stop?
Well, I think her whole policy is on like soup regulation. Like, we're gonna
we won't vote for these people who will again cut the world in half with their superpowers, regardless of whatever we do. Like, at this point, Victoria Newman should just say, like, just just end the world. Go kill the president. Like, what's the fucking difference of anything?
We have this situation where the actual president is trying to assassinate his own Veep because he knows that she's like working against him, but can't have her know that he's secretly trying to have her killed, except she does know.
And that's
my favorite season with Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I guess I did enjoy her head popping herself at that soiree because she was so bored of the conversation. I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah, I don't know.
Again, there's another reference where that guy was talking about like, oh, if a woman's body has its way of like shutting down, if it's, whatever. It's like, that's something that a real Republican politician said like a decade ago. I guess that's cool to like bring that up, but it's like that's like some 2008 politics type stuff. It's like, it kind of feels a little dated, but
right.
Again,
I agree with their stance on a lot of these issues as far as where the writers are trying to point you like, yo, these guys are fucking assholes. But it does feel like they were like, we need to comment on every possible thing, and that's where we get like the abortion plot, and then like we have to comment on everything.
Yeah, I agree with their point of view, of course, but it's just it can be lazy sometimes. We're just like, we need to throw in some real life political thing right now, but just make it, instead of critical race theory, it's critical soup theory. Okay, well, what does that even mean? Like, what is critical soup theory? That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it's clam chowder.
Doesn't have to.
I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Is chili a soup?
There is some writer who's trying to figure out the equation of soup and woke, and he just like cannot like
Go
get
soup,
it to like
go
combine together.
Poop.
The
Yeah,
soap
go
mob.
soup, go foop.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Right.
Go soup. Smell like poop.
But
I
it
don't
is
know.
it is sort of escalating the
pretty good.
political
pretty
illusions
bad.
where you have Homelander just calling people like woke libtards and stuff, and it's like,
And
well,
again,
yeah,
anything can be about anything. When people choose to make art and they're like, actually, the subtext is Donald Trump should go to jail in this painting of a banana that I made. I'm like, that's fucking incredible. Wow, look at what you
right.
did. You choose to implement those messages so that Eric Kripke every season is like, turn the dial a little more, turn the dial a little more. What our show is about is that Donald Trump needs to go to jail. You're like, The Boys is about that? That's so wild to me. It can
Yeah.
be if you want it to be. It's not what I would have written it about, I guess. I don't know.
And
I mean,
again,
how
what's
much-
to stop Homelander from just taking over the world by himself? I guess because he needs to be loved as well as,
Right.
obeyed. So he has this whole complex where he needs to do in a way where the masses will love him. But ultimately, yeah, he could just kill the president, become a dictator, take over the entire world if he wanted to, because no one could stop him.
He just
Yeah.
become president, then make soups. He's putting together a soup army. I guess that's an interesting. Like, we're building to an end game format where he's like, we will be killing people. Are you down
Right.
with that? Like, he's setting up his team to be like, this is explicitly what the plan is. We need prisons for the dissidents, and
Yeah.
we'll have a superhero war.
And if you compare him to some other, like, there's been a lot of what if Superman was evil type of stories. Like, you have, of course, Invincible with Omni-Man.
Right.
You have DC's done it with Injustice. They've done it where they have like Earth 2 has like Ultraman and stuff, which is like an evil version of Superman. And I don't know. It's done before. So you got to kind of think of a way that you can do it where it's not just repeating. Like, it can't just be Injustice, So I don't know.
Shouldn't be. Yeah.
Yeah. Or to compare it to Omni-Man, like Omni-Man wants to take over the world, basically to have their version of Krypton come and rule over Earth is the twist of Invincible, right?
Mm-hmm. You're supposed to be softening it up for the invasion.
Yeah. I guess Homelander is
yeah.
just different because he is an actual human. He was like grown in a lab, but he's not an alien from another planet. He's just a human, and he has this need to be loved. So that's his biggest
what if
weakness.
the twist after 50 or 60 years of Clark Kent was Lex Luthor came to him now and was like, you're not from Krypton. That's a fucking story that was made up. You were made in a lab. That would be crazy.
That's an
Dang.
interesting like Elseworlds comic run that they could
It
do or
would
something.
probably make you insane, right?
Yeah.
I've been gaslit my entire life. That's crazy. My entire identity is a lie. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, we kept Truman showing you. We would like put those little crystals down and like put like Kal-El, you're from, and like we'd watch this idiot and be like, he believes this stuff.
Mhm.
Like that's
That's
crazy.
very interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Injustice is basically like the inciting incident of Injustice is that, which is a video game. It's a fighting video game.
They have a parody of it in this
/ now
show.
comic. Yeah.
Right. But the
Yeah.
storyline is basically that the Joker kills Lois Lane, which basically makes Superman go crazy and turn into a dictator because he basically breaks Superman by killing Lois
It's
Lane.
like,
Right?
Batman,
Mhm.
why have you not killed this guy? This guy is just fucking is the
Right.
worst.
Every time
Right.
he gets out of jail, it's your fault, Batman.
Yeah, which is another debate with Batman. Like, obviously, his no
Oh,
kill
no.
rule, which has been examined
Oh,
many
no.
times in comics. But I do like the Homelander Ryan stuff, where it's like nature versus nurture, where Ryan was raised by a loving mother, versus Homelander, who was raised in this lab environment where he was abused, and now they've turned out differently, right? So that's
Here's the thing.
nurture side. Of
Homelander would be proud of me as his son because I love milkshakes, and I would very easily be like, "You grab me every one of those you want to get me, Dad."
Yeah.
Oh man,
You would
I
just-
forgot about the milkshakes.
You'd start working with Homelander and be like, hey, "This is pretty cool."
We got to wipe these people out, Dad. You're right. Strawberry if you can, my man.
Oh jeez. Well, we shall see where it all ends up, I guess, by season's end and going forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe go to talk some final thoughts on The Boys, season 4, episodes 1 through 6, asterisk, right after this.
Oi, we're back. Us, the boys. Me, we, Colin. Oi, we, Colin. Talking The Boys, season 4.
Yep. And we kind of got in final thoughts earlier, but I guess just to wrap it up. For me, good so far. I hope it has a really strong finish. But then there are a couple subplots that we didn't care for, like the Frenchie stuff, or But overall, when it's doing the boys things and they are fighting soups and like the Ezekiel stuff or whatever, it's still the boys. It's still got it. Maybe
Yeah.
it's a little softened writing wise, but I'll still tune in every week and see how it
My
goes.
thing is, I don't think it's bad yet. Like, I still think it's good, but it's starting to show signs maybe of a downward trend, right? Like with
See how
Game
it
of
could be bad.
Thrones, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Game of Thrones, we didn't just get to season 8, it wasn't just a huge drop off in quality. It started with like season 5 where you're like, there were signs like, oh, this isn't as good as the last couple seasons, and every season
Mm-hmm.
kind of got worse. And I feel like that could be the problem with the boys if it goes on
Why are
too
we spending
long.
so much time on Jorah Mormont's past and the Liberation Army front? This doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Right. And
Right.
it's just like, if they are it's diminishing returns, like they're treading water too much, there's not enough forward momentum with the story, it will get to a point where it's like, yeah, I'm kind of over this show. Like, it should have ended a couple seasons ago if they go on too long. That's why I don't know
Yeah.
what they could be thinking with how long it could go on, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
That said, dude, I will eat shit. I will publicly say 2 episodes from now on this podcast, if we watch the finale and I think it's dope, I'll be like, yo, it's great. If they pull
Yeah.
like a twist and like kill 1,000 characters, Mother's Milk, Frenchie by the last one, I'm like, oh my God. Not that I think that would make the show good, but if it took a leap and seemed like it was going somewhere, I'll be back around in a second, dude.
Yeah. They're too scared to kill any, like, I don't think any of the boys are going to die because they just want to keep using those characters. Even Butcher, I think they'll find some way to get out of his terminal illness.
Boy, Mituma's a character now. It's part of the boys.
Henry D. Morgan.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But like you said, yeah, if the finale really wows us, yeah, we'll eat shit about it. But this season, again, it's just mid, but it's not bad. It's I'm still enjoying watching. I still watch it every week and enjoy it. So
Yeah, momentum. The momentum of season 3 with getting Soldier Boy and then the fight at Vought Tower, like it was building the whole time. The stakes, the big confrontation, and it has just been a little bit of meandering because everybody's doing their own thing. But it has
right.
high
I mean, the
points, and
big
I still
fight
tune in.
with Homelander, Soldier Boy, and Butcher with powers was like the big climax of that season, and to me, that was
Of the
We
show,
got
it
two of
felt.
those.
Yeah.
We got Herogasm or whatever, and the Vought Tower. We got 2 of those fights that were good.
Yeah.
So
right. And it's like, how do you keep one-upping yourself? At some point, it's not going to be as good as like the previous season, and then people are going to start falling off and be like, man, the show's not as good as it used to be,
No.
which a lot of shows have done in the past.
My big fear is that it like ends like a season of Power Rangers where you've got like the 5 different color Power Rangers going up against like Goldar and the
right.
weak
Rita
baddies
Repulsa.
where like, but I'm saying by the end of it where they're like, Goldar, other guy, we're all together because we all know Rita, you got to go down. Like my big fear is that A Train Deep, everybody's going to just fucking switch sides and just stretch out another
sure.
long season where it's just like, well, we all know Homelander's the one that's like, it's all just about taking him down. Like, not really. This show, if that's what the show was, I feel like they wouldn't have stretched it out this long. What they know is that they have too many characters and there's so much to pay off. Like, start paying it off. Start heading in some of those directions.
Yeah.
We're adding more characters from Kimiko's past and Frenchie's past, and we're like, okay, let's move forward in the main plot. Yeah.
I don't think Sage is going to die this season. I think she's going to be
No.
the rare villain who sticks around. And now I'm worried, like, well, that's another character you got to fucking pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Butcher's wife said, like, you'll just have another Homelander. Like, if you kill Homelander, there'll be another one to replace him somehow, some way. So then that's a problem for the show too now. Like, that's not the solution, the global solution anymore. We've gotten larger, I guess.
What about Ryan? Did you save Ryan? My Ryan. Boy, it's Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
But excited for next week's episode, I guess, to transition on out of here. Really excited for dragons.
Where are my dragons?
Where are my dragons?
Yes. Definitely looking forward to that. We've also got Cobra Kai, new season of that coming out in a couple weeks. So that's another show where it's like that could have gone on too long, but it seems like they do know the ending point, which is
they? I will remind you that this is part 1 of part 3 of 3 parts of the final season.
The release schedule that they're doing is insane because it's like they're waiting months at a time in between these parts. It's like just release. What are you doing? Just Netflix. What are you doing?
They split up Stranger
Each one's the length of a normal season.
Yeah. Yeah, the final season of Stranger Things is going to be insane too because they're like,
it's going to be individual movies.
That's what they're saying. Like every episode is like an hour and a half long.
It's going to be so annoying.
Yeah,
you can
just
already
dragging
tell.
the shit out. These kids are 25 years old.
Yes. Hey, Hopper, we got to get me back to the 4th grade. It's me, 11.
Yeah, 11 is married to now, like to John Bon Jovi's
is taller than David. She's married. You're right.
Yeah,
it's so crazy.
Like in real life, she's married.
Taller as a baby.
John
She's
Bon
an adult who can be married to people now.
Yeah,
wild.
Started on that show when she was like 14.
Peak TV. It takes so long to shoot The Boys now. It took 2 years between seasons. I know that's writer's strike. I know that's more stuff. It's going to be more delayed post this. They've already said. So and that's been like the momentum.
That's been the trend with shows like House of the Dragon. Same way. The last season of House of the Dragon was summer of 2022.
And we'll talk about this now. When characters literally say, "You have to remember, my father died earlier this month," where I'm like, that was years ago to me.
That's what I'm saying. And I'll talk about this next week. But I watched the entire first season before watching this, and it helped me a lot to remember.
Understand earlier this afternoon. No.
But it does take so long to make those shows. I mean,
it's hard. They're big shows.
Yeah, they're really big.
Especially when you're making a movie for each episode. Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. We can't forget also we have Skeleton Key coming out. Our favorite show, Skeleton Key.
Adam put that incept that into your brain. Jacob, you know that's not real. You know he made that. He was kidding.
I had forgotten it existed before you brought it up last week, so I appreciate him bringing it up because I completely forgot. And remember, a few years ago, I did declare that it was the Jude Law assance, the Judas.
Mike, I told Jacob this recently. The 2 biggest fumbles anyone has ever said on this podcast. Jacob saying it's the year of Jude Law, and you saying, "I think this Christian Cole guy is pretty cool."
Another great showing from Christian Cole last night.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if there was The Bachelor of Game of Thrones, he's still alive. I think I had a pretty good pick.
Listeners, we watched 1 episode when Mike made that prediction. Mike was like, I don't know, based on this one, he seems
I got a good feeling about him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not agree with him anymore, but he's still out here doing Cole things,
Yeah.
We'll talk about it next week.
I'm excited to just talk about that next week because I got a lot of thoughts. It's going to be great.
But don't drag your shows on. Just put drag-ons on your shows.
Yes.
And we'll be good. Yeah.
My dragon would be named the Homelander, by the way.
He'll shoot lasers out of his eyes.
He doesn't breathe fire, he shoots lasers.
He breathes lasers.
Whoa!
Mine is Godzilla. This is my guy, Godzilla.
Blue breath.
That's right.
Mine is Sunfire.
Your dragon is so strong.
What's your superheroes' names then?
What power would you want to have in the Boys universe? Like, if
we've said that before. Would have some horrible drawback, or at least every time I used it, I would, murder everybody I loved. So I don't know, like even the Deep, like I always forget he's got those fucking gills.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, but he can talk to fish and stuff, so that's pretty
I wouldn't even have to come up for air when I'm eating your wife's pussy. I can just breathe through the juice.
That guy. That was so crazy.
Fucking insane. I don't know. It would
be
dumb.
I think being like an A-Train Flash type of like a speedster.
I'll be honest with you. I think you'd be a firecracker.
You think so?
You'd get like a little. You'd be
like a power.
I can make like splinters in my fingers. We'd be like, well, that's not helpful. You'd be like, I know it hurts.
Or what about another character we didn't mention from this season, the duplicating guy that can make copies of himself? That's a cool
the actual
power.
Splinter guy. Yeah, another Eric Kripke regular, supernatural guy.
Right.
That was wild.
They kill the Prime, right? He's like, "Oh, you killed Prime." And
they never do that in X-Men, where multiple man. They're never like, "No, you killed the one." Yeah,
right.
That's.
I guess how his works is there is a one that just makes copies, but he's the original. But then if
like
that
a
was
photocopier.
the case, you would think the Prime one would not be involving himself in the fight.
No,
right? Just
dog,
send
I
out
would
the
never
copies.
leave my apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I
Well,
don't know.
I also wouldn't fuck myself, but
No, well, I probably would. If you could make copies of yourself,
fair.
I don't know. Think about it.
I don't find myself interesting in that way at all. So,
Interesting.
no, I'd be like,
Attracted
there's
to you.
two of you, get out of here. That would be like my punishment power.
I guess
Like,
that's
I
the
have to
ultimate
kill
form
the
of
other me.
narcissism, right? Is just being
Yeah.
sexually attracted to yourself. But
Yeah.
Fair.
I would
All
want to
right.
fly though, because a lot of superheroes, they have powers and can also fly. So I would at least want something like that.
It'd be like you have to fart to do it. It would be something fucking horrible, dog.
Yeah, but maybe you can just be like Homelander and just like have all these powers with no drawbacks.
Then you have to drink the milk.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the drawbacks are psychological issues of a quantum scale. Yeah.
It's weird how milk focused this show is. You have a character named Mother's Milk. You have a character that's obsessed with Mother's
Now,
Milk.
how did Homelander read out the name Marvin Milk and not go, that's his real name? Or like, I love that.
Yeah. I guess
True.
it makes me wonder things about Garth Ennis, if he has like some kind of milk
I
fetish
think he
going
does,
on.
yeah.
Hmm.
But we love the boys.
Yeah.
They're our
How will
boys.
it end up?
It's all right,
We'll
yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah,
have to wait and see.
we love it. It's all right.
It's all right. Yeah, I'm not going that far. Listeners, let us know how far you go, what you thought of this season. If you're kind of tepid like we are, maybe you can defend it. Maybe you want to drag it. Hit us up. Let us know at Normies_like_us, where you can share those comments, like, subscribe, rate the podcast. Helps us out as well. Check us out on YouTube too.
Indeed, please do. Thanks
That's
for
right.
listening. 303.
Yeah.
Look at us go.
303.
Ooh, and like we said, next week we've got a little dance with the dragons coming. So put on your hot D.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Yep.
All right.
All
This
right.
has been your host. This is Colin's milk. Speaking of, glug, 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 glug.
I want to be on that
Oh,
team.
no.
I'm going to pivot too and be Michael's milk.
I'm going to be, I'll tell you what,
You
I'm going
know.
to be the Jake Lander, and I'm very interested in getting some
You're
of
gonna
that
be
milk.
you're gonna be Jacob's milk. Come on,
I'll be Jacob's
Oh,
milk.
milk. Drink the milk, baby.
You love it. All right. Oh, take it easy, listeners. Drink your milk. Calcium's good for the bones.
That's
Boy.
right.
Boy, you drinking that milk.
Fucking diabolical.
Hell yeah.
Diabolical.
That's
You
pretty good.
wankers.
I'm
Bye.
chuffed, didn't it?
Go the whole episode without saying the catchphrase of the show that they named a spin-off animated show after.
That's
Boy,
right.
Diabolical.
We got it in there at the finish line.